Hey, it's Mike and Blaine. Nobody told me with Mike and Blaine, and this is episode 61. 61. And I'll tell you, we're going to dig into a topic today that Blaine brought to the table from a workshop this week. And I'll tell you, I had a whole nother topic planned, but yours was so good. I'm like, we're scrapping mine and going with that. So Blaine Birch, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And yeah, it was a great quote. I texted it to you, I think during the workshop because I thought it was so classic, and it was by Andrew Goldner from GrowthX, that was holding the workshop. And we were actually looking up to see, like, did he actually come up with this? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. He just used it. I thought it was awesome. But his quote was, "It isn't dog food till a dog eats it." And I thought, man, that is awesome, because really, until you have a sale, can I call dry run a forecasting tool until someone's actually bought it and using it? Like, right? So I thought that was just an awesome quote.
Hey, well, you know what's funny is that I didn't go to the workshop, but my mind goes to product market fit. So I've got some thoughts around that, and maybe that's where this will go. So I'm really loving to hear what you heard, what you saw. So how about
Yeah,
beer?
for sure.
We drinking beer today?
Are we drinking beer today? I'm probably halfway through. So I've got this one, Strata Tropic Hazy IPA, and it's from Fieldhouse in Abbotsford, British Columbia. So I went out of Alberta, got some. I just actually, to be honest, I saw it in the liquor store, and I thought, yeah, I would just want to try it, and it's really good. It's a really nice IPA. So not familiar with Fieldhouse, but I am now. Really nice beer. And I know you got something from our beer sponsor. So
I
let's see
do.
what you
It's
got.
still October. I'm on beer number 3 from Roughhouse Brewing, right? Roughhouse Brewing. Got a little swag, a little sticker on their stuff. But today, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the time of year, but it's everybody's got an IPA. So I tell you, I love their
Nice.
cans, right? Whoever is doing their artwork is just fantastic. But this is what they call that farmhouse India Pale Ale. And I know you and I have talked about that several times, where they're actually growing everything from the yeast all the way through every ingredient is grown and produced there on site. And I tell you, they're really particular about it. So this one, I'm excited because this is the one, if you remember the picture of Alex and I, this is the one she wanted to highlight. So I'm excited about it.
Nice. Well, and it is a beautiful can. They've all been bottles, cans have just been beautiful. And then this one's like looks really nice, but like it's beautiful. It's because it's so simple and clean. But when I see that one, I'm like, man, that's what happens when you get an artist involved and let them do their
Ooh,
thing.
that is good, Alex.
Nice.
You did wonderful. So San Marcos Roughhouse Brewing. So don't forget to check them out. So hey, we got another sponsor today. We'll talk about it a little later, but it's mylifeinabook.com. Mylifeinabook.com. They are sponsoring us all the way through Christmas. And I'm excited about their product. And I'm excited to tell you about it a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll dive into that in a bit. But mylifeinabook.com, if you just jot her down, you're going to want to check them out later, for sure. But we'll fill you in on those guys in a little bit. They're terrific.
All right. So here's the thing. I've always had the philosophy that, as the CEO or as the owner, as an executive of a product, you should eat your own dog food, right? That's
Yeah.
maybe use your own product. And I'd get frustrated when I'd have partners or owners or I work for somebody that didn't. I'm like going, how is it that, we can have the passion or integrity to go out there and try to sell this thing when we're not using it ourselves?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I like, and I've said many times, dry run comes from my own experience in business. I've talked about that a lot. But what I don't say probably enough is, and I'm not just trying to plug dry run here. This is exactly how it works with me. Any little thing that happens in our business, it's more than a habit. It's a compulsion. I have to jump to dry run and go look at what happened here. Oh, we got a little more cash coming in. Well, what does that do? Oh, now we can do this. I'm in there all the time. And honestly, I when I get in there, and I know it's like it's our own thing, and I know I'm probably biased, but I get in there and go, how does anyone run a business? How does anyone run a startup, let alone a business, without this sort of thing where I can look and go, this is where we're going. okay, got lots of cash. We're good. We're good here. We can do this. We can afford to do that. Oh, we're going to have to pull back here. Right now, it's a lot of businesses that are really struggling and suffering. And I know it's a little bit more cash out of their pocket, but it's so necessary because it helps navigate things. And so I'm a huge believer. And I'll tell you, the one time I'm the biggest believer is when I have to do my quarterly reporting. And I know from our VC, the other portfolio companies that they have, the founders are probably spending an afternoon doing what happened in the last quarter and all their financials and all this and all that. And I'm doing my, like, what happened last quarter and our forecast and all of this and getting it out and sending it to them. It's like 15 minutes later, I'm just like, yeah, I'm done because it's live. And I barely, I spend most of my time thinking about what I want to tell them and like, okay, predicting where we're going, not messing around in a spreadsheet. So that was kind of a long time that I used that probably to partly plug Dry Run. But I am such a believer in what we do. But I do want to roll it all the way back and say, as I can't probably say me using it isn't the same as the dog eating the dog food. It's not the same as somebody else using it. So as much as I say that, there is that's not what's as valuable as somebody else having the value from it.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, right off the bat, I thought it was about product market fit, meaning, if no one else is gonna, use this or do this, then why am I wasting my time? Right. I mean, getting somebody that the market will give you signals. I mean, they'll tell you, whether or not it's a good idea or a bad idea. I don't know how many times where I've been part of what they call groupthink. Like you put a bunch of us in the room, like me and you and two other guys, and for a week we just work on a project. We're like we're going to do this, and we build up an idea. Remember my food truck idea? Maybe we spend a week putting that together. Here's the problem. As soon as you take that idea, no matter how excited, no matter how passionate we are, as soon as we introduce that idea to the market, they might go, it's okay. Yeah. And to me, that's not a strong enough signal that the market has to give you, meaning that somebody can get behind it with the same amount of enthusiasm and passion that you do and become that early adopter or that innovator that helps you take it to market. You need that person right up front.
And I'm gonna mention a couple things from the workshop yesterday that I found really interesting, and because they're a little bit of a different perspective than what I've heard before. And one of them was, and I think it was actually Andrew who said this, was businesses, like, they always show like the number one reason businesses fail is there's sort of the failure to find product market fit. But they actually say there was no demand for the product. And his argument was that is much more rare than businesses failing. He said it's actually, you haven't found product market fit before you run out of money. Because it says there's a lot of products that the fit is out there. Yeah. And they talked a lot about ideal customer profile. That ideal customer is out there. You just have to survive long enough and be relentless in finding them and do the right tests to find them. So it's very counter to, there just wasn't a market, because most people I don't think they actually have a good idea, I think, a lot of times, right?
Well, and I want to attribute this to Mark Andreessen. I don't know if it's true or not. That's his. But there's a statement that's out there that's stuck in my head, that it's never the product, it's always the distribution. Right. Meaning the failure, right? The product's the product, right? It does what you designed it to do. It's the distribution, it's the fit, it's finding that right person. That's where I do. And you haven't been to the Clear Path to Cash seminar, but I always do this exercise with every class, and I call it, price doesn't matter. And people will go, "No, it matters." Of course, it matters. Yeah. Well, then I just ask them a question. I say, "I'm going to put a product on the board. You just tell me what's the most you would pay for it out of pocket. Just what's the most." And what happens is I'll put up words like bike or candle, and you'll get people, like with the candle, you get somebody that won't spend $5 on a candle, and then you get other people buying these Yankee Doodles and Scentsies for $100. I'm like, going to see. So even in a small group, you're going to have a wide range of people that will buy at different price points.
Yeah,
you got to figure out which one you want to sell at.
Yeah, and I always say lean towards the high. Yes, volume is tough, um, no, it's a really interesting observation that it's so when we talk about product market fit, it's you're solving a problem, but it's finding the group that'll buy it, but they're going to pay the premium price. So there's a lot of factors, from price to problem solving to region to this, that, and the other, that all comes into it. But it is, I agree with you that is a really good observation, that distribution is what kills a business. Because if Pet Rock had a fit, just about everything likely has a fit. Like, you really have to come up with something useless and not have any market at all.
Speaking of useless, there's a guy, he has like an Instagram or something like that. I think he calls it like useless inventions or something like that. Useless or dumb I forget what he calls it. But he had on there the other day, it was the 2-day underwear. And it was 4 leg holes and you rotated it 90 degrees. Like, yeah, I'm still not using it.
Yeah, I think I've seen that guy, that he invents all kinds of useless things. And you know what? There'd probably be a market for that. It's like somebody will
buy that, right? Somebody will buy that.
I think it's hilarious.
Well, you were talking about like failures. Like, here's one. All right, only because daughter uses TikTok.
Okay.
But before TikTok, if you remember, there was a thing called Vine. Mm-hmm. You remember that? It was like 6-second videos you could put out there.
Yeah.
And then Twitter liked it because it was kind of, what Vine did for video logging or vlogging, from YouTube people, Twitter did from blogging, right? Taking long form articles or long form videos and condensing them down to the shortest amount. Well, Twitter ended up buying them, but they were a failure, and they still failed, even though people love Instagram Reels. It doesn't matter. They still love the short form videos. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, well, how did they fail? Well, to me, there was a couple of different things that I think that they really did wrong, that Instagram and what's the other one?
I think Facebook,
TikTok.
And TikTok, yeah.
TikTok does, right? To be honest, is that they took away the 6 seconds, right? Vine stuck to it. So no, that's a core principle of ours. 6 seconds is all you want. But then what happened is these content creators, people that make it, found it difficult to get their message across and make money in 6 seconds. Right. So what Instagram and then TikTok did was say, well, we'll give you more time. Well, now people are still keeping it, within a couple of minutes, but they're able to promote a product or themselves or something else all during that time. In a way that they become influencers. You couldn't do that on Vine because the time didn't allow you.
Yeah, interesting. Because I'm of course I've heard of TikTok. I got enough digital thingamabob. So I'm not a TikTok user. I've never actually seen it. I've just heard about it. So I didn't know that. Is it a limit, or is it indefinite time, or?
Yeah, you're wrong person. I mean, I know that. I don't have a TikTok. I don't do TikToks because I thought it was like dancing for a long time. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I'm not great at that either. Like, if I'm not great at dancing, I'm not going to be good at TikTok. And I think I made one or two with my stepdaughter that were funny though, because she knows I edit it and those type of things.
Yeah. But
they all seem to be somewhere, around the 1 to 3 minute mark. It seems like they're not very long. I mean, 3 minutes might be too long. It might be, somebody's going to correct me and go, oh, it's 142nd, Mike. Well, I don't know what it is.
That's fine.
Somebody's going to correct me. I mean, that's the thing I like about this show, is that there's somebody out there that corrects me.
Yeah, we have no idea about half of this. Like, even Instagram, I've watched those little reels quite often. I have no idea if there's a time limit on. Never thought about it before.
Yeah, I'm sure there probably is, right? There probably
got to be something.
Or file size. Maybe it's a file size.
Yeah.
Where they keep it just, under 2 megs or something. I don't know.
Just a guess. Yeah, interesting. One, and like on LinkedIn, they have like the video cap at 8 minutes, and that always drives me nuts. Because I'm like, well, if we want to do a 10-minute one, we can't post this on LinkedIn because it's too long, which is weird. So, but that's native, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's another company that I'm kind of keeping my eyes on because they're advertising a lot, at least here in Texas, maybe because of the real estate market, but it's called Open Door.
Okay. Yep.
and it's a
I've
real
heard of them.
estate. Yeah, it's like a real estate sales company. And I'm looking at it because they might have the product market fit down, which means there's already a market. There's already people who want to sell houses and buy houses, right? Well, what they're doing is saying, yeah, I want to sell my house. I don't want it to take, 3 months or 5 months to do it.
Yeah.
So they're saying, hey, we'll buy your house in a matter of clicks. You can sell your house in an hour. And then we'll give you the upside. If we resell it and give you the upside, they'll give you that. So I'm like, okay, well, they're taking away two pain points. I don't like to, deal with showing my house, getting it all fixed up. Okay, I'll take your offer now and then take the upside if you can sell it later. Yeah, so I'm like going, man, that might be one that works.
Yeah, because the thing I thought, like, because I'd heard of them before, I didn't know the model, but it's actually sharing the upside. That's something that I would, because there would be a benefit. I'm guessing they're getting part of the upside, so there's a benefit for them to sell it for more, so not to like undercut or do it too cheap, and you hopefully still get a decent cut. Maybe it's a little bit bigger percentage, but it's like, hey, if I get my money today, there's a lot of value to that, right?
Well, I'm sure if they come in and go, okay, well, I bought your house at this, but then I had to put $30,000 in and remodel, paint, landscaping. Maybe they're also doing some of their, so they're going to get that plus a markup. They'll probably get some type of administrative or service fee. And I have no idea. I haven't even looked at their website to see how it works. But then I just know that the owner doesn't feel slighted at the end, right? Like, oh man, if I'd have just waited, because what if they sell it in 3 days for $100,000 more?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, if I'd have just, nobody's going to do that if they think the market's that hot.
Yeah,
but if you get part of that, you're like, okay, well, I just paid for a service to do it for me.
yeah. It's oh, that's interesting, and it's what I find amazing is sometimes getting that product market fit is like how many businesses are like, even like Vine, you're right at the point where you just have to flip it over, and it's a small detail that that others do well that you don't. Because you look at Vine, you look at Twitter, they could have spent as much money as they want to promote it, and they got hung up on they didn't really truly understand the market, which is kind of amazing to think about it for Twitter, but they really didn't, right?
Yeah, but with the market works for Twitter, right? Twitter's saying, hey, make your message very short. So then like, okay, well, you should be able to do that in video, but people couldn't get it across the same way in video. So it was more about monetizing the video than it was the length of the message. They can monetize
but that again is that to me tells me there was a really massive dose of arrogance. And when you see this multi-bajillion-dollar business that has a massive failure like that, when others have been successful with virtually the same thing, and they were arguably first to market on that, to me, it feels like they really had an arrogance where they didn't get that product market fit because they didn't understand the market for Vine. They understood it for Twitter. They didn't understand it for Vine, and they didn't really care because other people came along and said, yeah, here we go. Now we got it working.
Well, it was the key user group, right? It was the active users. And that's why Instagram is so good, is that the active users are what we now consider influencers, right? They're on it all the time. They're promoting themselves, their ideas, their products, whatever it is. And they are able to monetize it outside of Instagram.
Yeah.
Right. They actually do the monetization. They have affiliate links that says, oh, well, Target, here, buy this Target such and such, and people click on it and they get paid when people buy it. Right. You can't do that in a 6-second Vine. You can't get that message across. Like some of these influencers will just show new stuff that they buy for the house. And folks like, my wife, Courtney, will go, oh, that's cool. I'll get that. Yeah. And they'll buy like little things for the house, decorations and other things and the people that are influencing get paid.
And doesn't it feel like at some point Instagram, there's a chance they're going to get greedy and they're going to start trying to take a cut. And all it does is it opens up innovation for everybody else. There's another place they can go, and suddenly they're MySpace, right? Like it just disappears.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Or Friendster or something like that.
Whatever. Yeah.
But but think about this. I mean, Twitter doesn't really try to do that. You don't see a lot of influence. I mean, maybe just maybe a little bit they do, because I think Kardashian just got in trouble for the cryptocurrency thing. But I think that most of those make most of their money, Instagram and Twitter, through the sponsored ads, right? They still make plenty of money through that.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're worried just yet, about the secondary market, because that's really what it is. It's a secondary market that drives people to those platforms.
Well, and usually when a company makes a mistake like that and shoots himself in the foot, it isn't because they're not making money. It's that they get greedy and want to make more.
Yeah.
And they forget that there's a lot of people lined up to replace them. Everyone's always trying to knock the big ones off. And but it's amazing. It's the same thing of what that little tiny thing can tip you over to be a success. And the little tiny thing can kind of piss everybody off and force them to go somewhere else, right?
What about TiVo, right? You remember them? I mean, they've really never made money, but they were the grandfather of video on demand, or not really video on demand, on like DVR. I guess that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Because, you could record shows, you could pause live TV, you could skip commercials. I mean, all this type of stuff. I mean, they went public and went from like $30 some a share down under 10. And that's kind of where they live now, is down under 10, not really making money.
I had no idea they were still around.
They still around? Yeah. Huh?
I can't believe they would be, but. Anyone have a TiVo?
TiVo's still around. Oh my God, yeah, TiVo's still around. You ought to see the market trend on it. I mean, just nobody's even looking for them anymore.
I can't believe they're still around. I don't even know where the market would be, because it was an easy one to disrupt, because every cable company on the planet basically says, well, I'll just let you record stuff. But it's like, we're just going to be
that's right. So
it's literally just a digital VCR. I think TiVo maybe made recommendations or things, but again, that's all the cable companies could just kind of do exactly the same thing. And
1999 as compressed video is kind of how they started. But yeah, just barely there, I think.
I'm shocked they still are there. I thought that would be like the video store, long gone.
Yeah, like Blockbuster.
Yeah.
So
there was a movie out about the last Blockbuster. There was one around for years after, and I can't remember what town it was in, but it was just hanging around.
Was that in Alaska? I think that was in Alaska.
Might have been, yeah. They might. I guess they had their product market fit in one little community somewhere.
Yeah, they're still around because they're trading at $6.21.
Wow.
Yeah,
I can't believe anyone still has shares in them, but hey, anyway.
Hey, it's like Kodak.
Yeah.
Right. You want to talk about a company that missed the market, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right. You remember when we were kids, Walmart, all the big stores had these rows of film, and it'd be Fuji and Kodak and I forget all the other ones, Polaroid, but just rows and rows. Now it's like a little section that you can still get it, and it's more for nostalgia. I think people still buying that type of film.
Yeah.
But when digital cameras were introduced, Kodak went, that sucks. Nobody wants those. They want to have a picture. They want to put it in a book, and they want to show their neighbors, and they want all these types of things, and just ignored digital cameras altogether.
Yeah.
Right. Then they did in the early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s already. They said, okay, maybe this digital picture thing is for real. We're going to get into the phone market. I don't know if you do that or not, but people already had Apple, people already had Google, and now they're saying they're going to want the Kodak phone, because if anybody knows cameras, it's us. They were already behind in that by the time these things came out. Nobody I've ever met has bought a Kodak phone.
No.
Nobody.
Didn't even know they existed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. You can't get one now, but I mean, they had them out. And the last I heard about this company, you got to realize they missed digital cameras. They missed phones. And then I thought I heard them say they were getting into cryptocurrency next. that's a company that's lost their way, right?
Oh
They're the
man,
best in the world
massively.
at printing, best in the world at film and printing, and
Yeah.
they should have run the world from a picture or photo, landscape, economics.
Yeah. And the same could honestly probably be said about Blockbuster, but I guess not, because you've got this massive infrastructure, like you've got your retail, and it's like the only thing they would have is maybe a money. Maybe they just have enough money to be able to go, we have to adapt and we have to lead the market where it's going, not where it's been. Because you see that it always amazes me when you see these, billion and trillion dollar companies completely miss the boat. And of course, if you're a CEO of one of these big companies, you got to be really careful what you say, because you're going to be quoted for the next how many years. And the iPhone would fail, and the iPod would fail, and video games would fail, and the internet would fail. And it's amazing when some of the things that are so groundbreaking, to have somebody dismiss them with such vigor, and then turn out completely wrong. It always amazes me, because it's that's where the opportunity is, right? That's where
Well,
you have to be brave.
Blockbuster missed the market because they had thoughts of people like going, oh, they'll always want to come into the store and thumb through the titles. I mean, heck, libraries could have told them that wasn't true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's not a rush and a line at the door of the library or a video store to get those things. I mean,
Yeah.
it was the fact that Netflix says, we're just going to send it to your house. I'm like, I'll do that. I hate going to the video store. I hate not being able to, get what I want and have to time it to get there when somebody returned it. I'm like going, no, just put it on the list and you send it to me when you're ready. When you got one in, just send it to me.
Yeah. 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 It's I think it takes maybe a special CEO from a big corp like that to recognize these little indications, like that could be the future. That's innovation that could disrupt our industry. And it seems like so often there's so much pushback. Like they don't even want to see it and go, let me just explore that and find out. It's just a negative reaction to it. And it puts billion-dollar businesses out of business, right? Like that's an amazing thing to me.
Well, the thing is, when Blockbuster finally realized that people actually preferred Netflix and then they tried to get into it themselves, it was too late. People had already had Netflix subscriptions, and it was too easy.
Yep.
Everything about it was just too easy, so people weren't switching.
And I realize now that our topic was circling all the way back here, because we kind of got off topic. We've never done that before. Not off topic, just off on a tangent, right? But bringing it back, it is interesting to think of the idea for Netflix it wasn't Netflix until somebody went to the website and said, send me a DVD, right? And that's that. I guess the interesting part is it's not just product market fit. If you go down to the smallest point here, is getting a sale. It's getting like a sale, having salespeople, or you yourself being the salesperson, being able to go out and sell it and get somebody to commit money to it. That's an important part too, is they're committing cash, they're committing money to something.
I think that's right. Yeah, they had to go out there and go, hey, it isn't just one guy. It isn't just my friend down the street that does it because he knows me. It's, oh my God, these people I don't know thought that my messaging was right and my product or service fits, right? Whatever they want to do, they're willing to give it a try. And they have so much confidence in me that they're willing to give me money.
Yeah.
It's
because there is a lot of mystery. And like, I think about it, how, I don't want to say important, but how, like, I remember when I first had this prototype of dry run that wasn't even a thing. It was like barely over a PowerPoint. You could do very simple manual things with it. But I we connected it to Stripe and went, okay, well, let's just see if someone buys it, right? And that was a really fundamental thing. And I still remember, I don't remember exactly who our first customer was, but I remember our first three, because I think it was the same, maybe the same day or something. And we had one in Canada, one in the US, and one in Germany.
Mhm.
And we had almost nothing there, but that spoke volumes. It's like so much because somebody recognized what we're doing and saw value in it and were willing to put money into it to pay for it. And it was the biggest validation the first day we had got of our first three sales. It was like, holy cow, this is real. And up till then, it wasn't real. And so like it's funny because it's like, well, can you actually call it like a SaaS tool or SaaS product or service or whatever, if nobody's actually ever using it? Like you intend for it to be dog food, but until a dog eats it, it's just protein on a plate, right?
Hey, well, let's hope a company, kind of see if their dog food fits the market.
Oh, and I know they do because they're already doing it. They're already doing it well.
Hey, talking about is today's episode is sponsored by mylifeinabook.com. And I got to tell you, Blaine, this is probably the most thoughtful gift I've ever come across for my family, right? And I tell you, it doesn't matter the occasion because everybody wants to preserve their memories. They want to put them down. They want to hear the stories. They want to, share the same enthusiasm and pride, through the generations. So it's basically the most powerful way to connect with anybody emotionally in your life. You can preserve precious memories and you can show people that you really care. And best of all, it's instantaneous. You can even get this gift at the last minute.
And so this is how it works. So every week, mylifeinabook.com lets you choose from a list of thought-provoking questions or even write your own, which gets sent to your relative by email. Your relative writes their answer and can even choose to add a meaningful picture if they want. This happens every week. And at the end of 1 year, all the stories are combined in a beautiful keepsake book that can store your relatives' memories forever and pass them on to future generations that are printed out and sent to you. So the interesting thing is it's a gift for them. It's also a gift for you. Whoever gets a copy of this book gets this massive gift, right?
Yeah, and you can get as many copies of it that you want, and you can even get it in audio format as well. So with mylifeinabook.com, you can give those you love the most precious gift that tells them they're meaningful and special to you and to all future generations. Guess what? They're going to give people $10 off their first purchase when you go to mylifeinabook.com and use discount code NOBODY. That's for nobody told me with Mike and Blaine. So use discount code NOBODY at checkout, and that's mylifeinabook.com. Use the code and get $10 off your first purchase.
Yeah, and I do want to mention I don't recall the exact price. It is very reasonable. Like when you realize what you're going to get a book at the end with 50 weekly 52 stories basically from your relative in a book sent you. It's a really reasonable price. So definitely check it out and get a little discount on it too.
And the book looks fantastic. It's going to look great on your coffee table.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you guys. Thank you. My Life in a Book, terrific product.
All right. So right before that, you were talking about, getting that first customer, getting whoever. So 2020, middle of the COVID pandemic, I pitched a product, right, to a group of investors who actually bought a working prototype, right? I didn't have the product built yet, just a working prototype of what it was going to do, which is kind of, it's like, it's like a play, meaning that you press a button, it does whatever I said it was going to do, but it doesn't actually work. It's like you've seen these prototypes before, right? It's like some people call it vaporware. So,
yeah. Yes. Yeah.
but the product we actually got it built. But what was more important is that what we found is that in a matter of a month, maybe 6 weeks, pitched 26 people, took 20 of them were ready to throw money at this thing. That tells you a lot as well. Even if you don't have a customer, if in the first month that you introduce the idea and show people what it's going to look like, that they're willing to put down, $40,000 plus, each person, that's a big indicator that you've got
Yeah.
something special.
Yeah, it's putting money where their mouth is. Like it's willing to pay for something is such a massive indicator that, and you have to have that. If you know, it's you don't want to learn the hard way, right? It's really tough to learn the hard way where you've built something and then it's like crickets and no one shows up. And you know, and going back a little bit to some of our early conversation, I think for startup founders, that's very likely to happen the first time through. That doesn't mean you failed. That means you went to the wrong market. You have the wrong fit. And that's a lesson I've learned here and there, where it's like we were chasing down over here and we were wrong. And people start coming in, what we call, they come in the back door and buy from us. We're like, oh, geez, we got to figure out, how do we get to this market? How do we identify it, characterize it, and get to them? The market's there. It's so easy and very common that you're gonna likely be just off the mark to start, and you have to find it before you run out of cash, right?
Well, and unfortunately, that means you have to go out and talk to a bunch of people, right?
Yes.
You have to go to a bunch of people. You have to think about what you think it is versus what they think it is, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I've seen products. Neat is an example. They came out, with an accounting type product for freelancers, but never really described how a freelancer would use it. So I'm like, well, there's a product market mismatch, meaning that you're saying all these things, but you're not showing it in the products. It's like your product does something different than what you're saying it does. So we're interpreting it wrong. So I mean, there's an image and an identity. The image is who you think you are in the market. The identity is who the market thinks you are.
Interesting.
So, and that's it's one of those things that it's hard to pinpoint unless you talk to everybody who touches this, right? That's why, that's why focus groups are important, even at the smallest level. Get people that don't know each other in the room, even if it's 5. Show them what it is. Don't lead them anyway. We're saying it's this type of product. Here's what it does, and just get their opinions.
Yeah, and you know what, I will say though that personally I've run a few focus groups before, and but you mentioned that one of the problems with it earlier is the group think, right? Mm-hmm. And so what we really rely on one-on-ones, but I know we were sort of shared with the tactic of doing follow me homes from Intuit, and they showed us how to do follow me homes where you're going and doing some more than user testing, more than UI testing. You're going to follow this, like basically metaphorically or literally go into the home or their office and see like, how did they use your product, and just watching them and have them talk their way through it and learn from that. Because like I know when I start dry run, I always say I bought 50 cups of coffee and 50 beer to talk with all these entrepreneurs and really try and understand the problem. And then I started bringing sketches along, and then I started bringing PowerPoints along, and then and it just was this evolution. Usually if we've sort of, I find when we've made a mistake or we've gone down a bit of a wrong path, or, there's little like, oh, now we kind of overbuilt that and it turned out to not be that big of a hit, or they're not using it. It's because we weren't talking with our customers early enough and really understanding what they do before we did it. And that's an easy way to avoid those mistakes.
Yeah, I would think so. What's funny is I just realized you and I always tend to fall into the software world, right? So,
that's true. Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, what about when I ran the bar restaurants?
Yeah.
Because, my customers expected a certain ambiance, level of service. So I think I've told the story before where if I walked in and I didn't say hi to the people that I recognized as regulars, then they felt slighted and they'd be mad at me for like a week. I'm like, what's wrong with him? Why does he do that? The other thing I found was that when I opened the very first one, not the one that was already running, the one that I built from scratch. So that's what I'm saying. Well, somebody come to this place. I actually had to go out to other bars and just kind of hang out and talk to people. Oh yeah, I got this place and I'm just opening it up. And that was part of it, finding the right crowd to bring them back to my place. But then I'm like going, after the third or fourth year, people would see me in other places where I called it market research.
Yeah.
Just go hang out other places, right? Just just kind of see what they're doing, see what's going on. But I could see people like, oh, why don't you hang out at your place? Right. Which is why I'm not eating my own dog food, well, because I'm looking for other dogs.
Yeah.
I guess, to help me eat the dog food.
Yeah, you have to wear a disguise for that.
Yeah. But I could see that with like, does this still apply with like, I've got a cleaning service, maybe I have a messy house, or who's going to buy from me if I'm not, displaying some of the characteristics of what I think a dog should be.
Well, and the fact is that to a really fundamental level, you could say, well, I have a cleaning service. And if no one's actually hired you to clean, no, you don't.
You don't have a cleaning service. That's
No.
right.
You're aspiring to have a cleaning service. And so I think what it still comes down to, and I think this is the trap that some entrepreneurs will fall into, especially maybe if they're just not that comfortable, being on the public and talking with people and basically selling. That's what it comes down to is you can't just build something, you have to sell it. Like you cannot, I think part of the angle that we, in this workshop that they're talking about is sometimes a perception like an engineer co-founder is so valuable and the non-technical co-founder may not be as valuable. And they're like, yeah, but if they cannot sell, if they cannot find that market, it's going to fail. And so, can you truly say you've built a this, that, or the other if you haven't actually sold it? You have to, if you cannot sell it, it's not going anywhere.
The problem that some people might be having listening to us talk about this is, how do you really first start? What do I got to do? How do I sell? I think I want to be in the cleaning business. I think I want to be in software. I think I want to do this. How do I get that first person to go? And I think it really comes down to being able to answer two questions, right? For somebody else. At the basic level, we're not talking about all these Facebook ads and this type of stuff. I think if you tell somebody what your promise is, what are you going to deliver and why they should buy it from you, just start that basic. I do this thing, and you should get it from me because of these reasons.
But what I will add on to there, and I think it's actually one of the most, especially for a startup, because you don't have a lot of resources or anything. The most important part is it's not telling someone, it's telling your perfect customer. And that takes a lot of work because that perfect customer might not be who you thought it was. That takes some real discipline and to figure out, like you were talking about, like the cleaning business, and you eventually became kind of a hotel staffing business, right?
Right.
But what it wasn't was just anyone with a face, I will clean for you, whatever you want clean, because so many people aren't going to pay for that. So where are they saying, yeah, I need it? Like it's an office or it's a hotel or whatever, and say, we have this need. So you can't pitch it until you're pitching it to the right person.
What's funny is that even in the hotel staffing company, I had to keep narrowing who my customer was, because I said, oh, I'm a hotel staffing company. If you got a hotel, we can provide people. Well, when we went to the Motel 6, and it wasn't true. It was like, oh, we can't do this. They can't afford to pay for anybody, or they just, they beat you up on the pricing, or they don't pay their bills.
Yeah.
And I'm not bagging on Motel 6. I'm just using that as an example, meaning the smaller type of properties. What we eventually came out with was full service, which means they had a restaurant, they had, maybe a pool or a gym or those type of things, high-end hotels and resorts. So, I mean, we would know driving over the property that, a Motel 6, a Super 8 didn't fit the model.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't work. What we wanted to do and the way we work just doesn't work at the smaller properties.
Yeah. And that is a really, really important distinction too, is a lot of times they'll say, well, I know who my customers are. We're building this for the aviation industry. I don't know anything about aviation, so I'm going to sound like an idiot here, but we're building this whatever it is for the aviation industry. And like, yeah, but is that like those little Cessnas that are taken off from the little itty bitty airports, or is it like for like Air Canada, right? Like it's and there's everything in between. And the more you can focus in and narrow and say, we're solving this problem and we do it better than anybody else. And we talk about this a lot at Dry Run is, yeah, lots of people can use us. Don't get caught up in the edge cases, or don't get caught like you got to tilt the odds in your favor. So you want to find that like within that hotel, the more success you'll get is when you can say, just like you said, this chain of hotels in this area with this problem, with this many guests, with like whatever it is, you can go and nail those down. And you do not want to be chasing a bunch of Motel 6, and vice versa. There is going to be some services or products that Motel 6 will buy, Fairmont won't. And you do not want to be banging on their door. So finding, and they always call it the ICP, the ideal customer profile. The more narrow you can make it, the better it is, because you can go and just go like, we've got these ones, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. We'll scale later.
What's funny is that now that I'm doing Cash Flow Mike full time, and I got my training program and Clear Path to Cash, I'm doing this exercise right now. It is strange. Yep. So that's one of the reasons I love this podcast, doing it with you, is that it makes me think. It makes me think about, okay, well, I really haven't defined that ideal customer profile.
Yeah. Yeah. We're constantly working on that in Dry Run, because it's like, and we got it pretty narrow, but you're constantly looking, have we nailed it? Where's that little bit? Where is that seam where it's just like a flywheel? Because it's so easy and so tempting to start widening it too soon, right? Instead of going, no, let's go right here and let's focus on this. And it's a lesson learned kind of over and over again, right?
Well, one of the best visuals I have of that is you're in front of this wall, like we can call it a glass wall or whatever, and you're just tapping like, where is this thing? And then you find that little crease, you find that little break, and it starts to crack, and you're like, it's there. And you start, getting through it, and finally you bust through the wall.
Yeah. Keep hitting the same spot over and over again. It's hard, because I know early on you're just like, well, we could be used by anybody, and the market's so big, and it's like, yeah, but that's the hardest way to do it, the hardest way, rather than finding that perfect one and going from there. And we just, like I said, we have to be constantly reminded, focus back down, get to that channel and go after that one that's just perfect for you.
Hey, what'd you learn today? Anything?
I learned we can talk for about 45 minutes and basically not about the topic. So, or tangentially to the topic.
I think it
no
was
problem at all.
Kind of close, right? It was aligned.
I'll say we can go on a tangent for an hour, but it is in line. But it comes all the way back to, I absolutely love that quote. It's not dog food till a dog eats it. And it says everything. You have to sell. You have to get the sale. You have to get that first sale, and you have to get those sales. And do not try and sell dog food and say, well, it's for cats and birds and hamsters. No, it's for dogs. And even better yet, it's for full-size dogs that have, have lots of fur. We can go after them.
Well, what's funny is I think that's it. Until somebody trusts you with their money, you don't have a business.
Exactly. That's what makes, and like they say about anything, that's what makes you a pro versus an amateur.
Yeah.
Someone's willing to pay you. As soon as they're starting to willing to pay you, now you might not be a good pro, but at least you can say you're a pro.
All right. So we built this page on our website. It's called Mike and Blaine's A/B test. And if you haven't went and taken the test, I do it. Just do it. I mean, first of all, you might find something cool, right? Secondly, if you really read down, I don't think anybody's doing this. If you just see the post, we're pretty cryptic about it. If you read down a little farther, there's a place for you to enter into a giveaway for swag. Every month, we're going to give somebody a piece of swag. You go to our merch store and say, I want X, and I'm going to buy it and send it to you. So guess what? You're not going to see that on an ad. You're not going to see that on a post. You got to go to the page, read it, or guess what? You got to listen to the end of Nobody Told Me, MikeandBlaine.com. So have you seen it yet, William? What do you think?
I've seen it. I thought it was terrific. It was a great A/B test, a little bit tongue in cheek, of course. And you know, while we're at it, because before I forget, because we always forget to do this, make sure you subscribe, whether you're on like Spotify, Apple, YouTube, like whether you're listening to us, you're watching our ugly mugs, whatever. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're coming back and you catch more of our episodes, because we're at 61. Next week's 62. So we got a good run going here.
All right. So what do you think? We have like 70, 75 by the end of the year? 70?
We should. Yeah, at least 70. Yeah. I don't know how many weeks are left here. Yeah, we should have probably about 70. That'll be a goal by the end of the year. 70 episodes. And next year we're going to do 300 in 1 year. No, I'm kidding. We're not doing 300 in 1 year. Just let you guys know it ain't happening.
But next year we'll start season 3. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Season 3. I don't think we're rookies after. If you're in season 3 with almost 100 episodes, I don't think you're a rookie anymore at podcasting.
No. We'll be at expert level. Yeah. At least by the number of seasons, if that's a metric that we should go by. Everything else, man, probably feels a little amateur, and that's how it should be, because that's what keeps it fun.
Hey, but if you want to binge watch or binge listen, it's okay with us. I mean, people do that.
Exactly. Oh, and we have 2 sponsors, so we can actually say we're pro. We're in, because we probably could we say we were a podcast before we got paid for it? Maybe not. Now we can say we're a podcast because My Life in a Book and your beer sponsor,
Roughhouse Brewery,
they're supporting us, and so so maybe we are pros.
Somebody ate our dog food
and also has bought some merch. So I forgot about that. So there we go.
And we sold merch. All right. So if you haven't bought any merch, go to mikeandblaine.com and click on merch, get a shirt, get a hat, buy some beer. Doesn't matter. Any of those things. I mean, keep the show going. Make us feel like we're doing the right thing here, not just talking to each other, drinking beer. We want to be helping you do great things in your business and in your life. So thanks for listening. Blaine, last words.
Looking forward to number 62 next week. Thanks for joining us today, guys, and make sure you check out the sponsors.